Hi there, my name is Ewan Nicholson. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be exploring the subject of how does one become a people pleaser, and we're going to be looking at what that is, why we end up using people pleasing as a means to kind of manage our emotions, and most importantly, what can we do to discharge the energy of people pleasing. So as for most of us, it ends up feeling very exhausting and futile and never ending, and we have some awareness of like, I am this way, but I don't want to be that way. And what we're going to look at today is how we bring some awareness and understanding in the mechanisms of what it is to people please and what's kind of moving us to people please, so we can kind of pull this thread back and almost like reverse engineer. It starts off as this and we trace it back to its origins, and we look at a healing from a perspective of understanding and a greater awareness of what's really going on. Because people pleasing isn't really about people pleasing, it's really about managing our emotions, which is what we're going to be looking at, and can we develop different ways to manage those feelings. So to begin with, if you're watching this video, maybe you know someone who's a people pleaser, maybe like myself, you identify as a people pleaser, and people pleasing is on a spectrum. It isn't necessarily like you're a complete one or nothing at all. We have leanings or tendency towards it. You might say if there's a we and there's a me, people pleasing kind of leans towards the emerging and the we of how we relate to others rather than the me as a separate person. But people pleasing is that feeling or activity where we're very preoccupied and fixated on ensuring everyone's okay with us, or everyone's just okay. So we're playing this kind of emotional game of whack-a-mole where we're scanning our environments for where we may feel people are displeased, and we're doing things in order to ensure that they are pleased, primarily with us. And sometimes that perception of displeasure is imaginary. Maybe there are people we're trying to please who don't know otherwise, and maybe there are people that are well aware of that tendency in us and they're happy to exploit it, whether that's an unscrupulous boss that wants you to do more hours, whatever it may be. So sometimes this perception of displeasure or displeasing, sometimes it's real and sometimes it is imagined, but it doesn't matter whether it is or it isn't. The compulsion to please, the unconscious move and drive to ensure that everyone's got to be okay with me is so baked into the way we operate. It's like our default. And what's happening on a kind of deeper level, although the orientation seems to be on the others, what they're feeling, what they're thinking, and how do I adapt and change and please them in inverted commas, it's really about managing our own emotions and managing our sense of safety. Because what we're doing is we feel a discomfort. Let's say we feel someone's a bit angry with us, or maybe we've come in late to work and the bosses were drawn or weird with us, and we feel this like a perceived sense of displeasure with us, and it creates an anxiety. There's not that ability to separate and say, well, that's his issue, big deal, I was late, I'm just going to get on with my day. There's a sense of, it feels very threatening to our own sense of safety. So in order to manage that anxiety or that feeling of unsafety or threat, we volunteer to do an extra shift, we go extra harder, we tell a joke, we suck up, we do whatever it is we need to do within our repertoire of capacity to ensure that person's okay with us. And maybe that's enough. Maybe they're happy now and it's worked. Maybe not, and we have to do more, or we go away, go home from the shift and worry about it. All this type of behavior comes from this interior anxiety or sense of danger from feeling that there's something wrong with me, it's being perceived, and I need to fix it by pleasing or ensuring that person's okay. And that's how I get okay. I'm okay if you're okay. And that's the nature and the mechanism of people pleasing. And sometimes it's just very unconscious. We're not necessarily, as we're doing it, aware we're doing this thing. Maybe we look back and think, I was too nice or too giving or too this way. But in the moment, it's just how we manage our stress, how we manage our anxiety. And no one's born a people pleaser. No one comes into this world as a baby set out to kind of please the world. It's an adaptation process. Somewhere in our childhood we developed as a way of feeling safe. So if we trace it back, somewhere we grow up in an environment where one or both of our caregivers we feel we're not kind of good with, or we feel like they're not good, and we feel like it's to do with us, which is just the nature of being a child. When situations are bad, we think we're bad. So if we have a parent that's distant, we have a parent that's aggressive, there's this sense of we learn by pleasing, by attending to their needs. There's an anxiety that lessens, where they seem to be maybe more okay with us briefly. So we develop this capacity and awareness that in order for me to be okay, I need to make sure others are okay. And it kind of works. So somewhere in our childhood, this model of feeling safe, it worked, and it was necessary. This doesn't happen in a vacuum. And what occurs is we start to sort of feel like this is who we are. We're a caring person. We start kind of internalizing this mechanism to feel safe as part of our identity. But what often happens for many of us, we get to our 30s, 40s, we get to some point in our life where we just feel like this is kind of redundant, this is unnecessary, this is exhausting. So in order to kind of shift this, in order to kind of move the needle on this, there are two things that are required. I think the first thing, and this is just a kind of an overall framing, when we are ever looking at changing something inside ourselves, like identifying a behavior or a way of moving in the world that we feel isn't what we want anymore, and I stress this over and over on my channel, is we need to approach this with a level of gentleness and a level of kindness. We can't be harsh with these parts of ourselves. They came into existence to keep us safe. They're creative adaptations. There's nothing wrong with people pleasing. It's just at some point it can start to feel like it no longer serves us. So there's a framing towards this that requires a level of kindness and a level of patience. We can't just delete these aspects of ourselves, and we're not meant to. The second piece is like an awareness. If you're watching this video, you probably already have some level of awareness. I tend to do this thing, and I don't want to do this thing. So to begin with, we're just trying to identify moments and points in our experience where we move into this people-pleasing aspect. So who triggers it most? Is it aggressivity? Is it sadness? Is it someone feeling irritable? You start to kind of work out, these are the areas, these are the people where I feel it gets invoked. And on a fundamental level, what we're needing to do is develop a deeper sense of okayness that is not contingent on the thoughts and feelings, perceived or real, of others. Because at the end of the day, if we feel like we're okay, we feel a deeper sense of presence and a deeper sense of contentment, then and also a deeper sense of individuation, that what goes on in you is you, and what goes on in me is me, where we're kind of separating ourselves out from other, and that your emotions are yours and my emotions are mine. But to do that, when we've been so enmeshed and so blended with others, can feel very scary. So we have to titrate this. We have to do it little bits and pieces at a time. But there's this fundamental sense of how do we arrive at a point in our nervous system and our thoughts and feelings where we feel like I'm a separate person and I feel okay inside myself. And when someone I care about or I'm invested in pulls away from me, is angry, that anxiety that arises and that compulsion to people please, to begin with, we're just observing it. We're not necessarily trying to switch it off or delete it. We're just observing it in action. And as we observe and become aware of it, it naturally can discharge some of its energy. And what we're doing parallel to that is developing means and mechanisms, particularly somatically in our body, our thoughts and feelings, to feel like, to build up this muscle, you might say, of interdependent but independent safety, where our safety isn't contingent on the approval and the feeling of others. And that's really the core wound. Now, the core wound is this, that my fundamental sense of okayness is contingent on the feelings of others. And to heal this core wound, we're really moving into this space where my okayness isn't contingent on the thoughts, feelings, perceived or real or unreal of others. And that's just your starting point. So look, I hope this has made sense. I hope this has been helpful. If you've got any experiences on your understanding of people pleasing and where you are with it, please leave in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for coming to the channel. Take care of yourself, and bye bye.